desperation, and failure. Meghan is someone who is desperate for fame. She's desperate for money, of course, and status. And it just seems to her that a visit to the royal family in Britain would give her or restore to her the credibility she once had.
A royal storm is brewing, and this time the controversy strikes at the very heart of the monarchy. Veteran royal author Tom Bower has ignited fierce debate with claims that King Charles may be facing a crisis unlike any before, one deeply tied to the ongoing Harry and Meghan saga. As tensions continue to rise and public scrutiny intensifies, questions about leadership, duty, and the future of the crown are growing louder than ever. Could this be the moment that changes everything for the royal family? So, what do you think? Should King Charles remain on the throne? Or is it time for a new chapter in the monarchy? Share your opinion in the comments below. If you enjoy uncovering the latest royal drama, hidden tensions, and behind-the-scenes developments, please subscribe. Tom Bower exposes Harry's reality. Tom Bower did not soften the message. In his view, this is not the story of a victorious return. It is the story of a couple confronting realities they never expected to face. After years of distancing themselves from Britain, criticizing royal life, and building a new identity across the Atlantic, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle now appear to be looking back toward the very institution they once left behind. The timing has sparked intense debate. Why now? Why, after years of public criticism, legal battles, and declarations that life in Britain was no longer suitable for their family, is there suddenly renewed interest in royal connections and visits to the United Kingdom? For many observers, the answer may have less to do with reconciliation and more to do with circumstance. The glamorous future that once seemed guaranteed has not unfolded as many predicted. Major media partnerships that generated worldwide headlines have faded. The excitement that surrounded their departure from royal duties has gradually cooled, leaving difficult questions about what comes next. Opportunities that once appeared endless no longer seem as plentiful, and critics argue that the momentum which carried them through the early years of their new life has slowed dramatically. Bower's assessment is particularly harsh. He believes both Harry and Meghan have reached a crossroads, but for different reasons. Meghan, he suggests, still understands the extraordinary value attached to royal status. Even the briefest association with the monarchy can generate attention, credibility, and influence on a global scale. In that sense, a return to royal surroundings, however temporary or uncomfortable, could restore something that years of controversy have weakened. For Harry, the picture appears more personal. The prince who once occupied a central place within Britain's royal story now finds himself far removed from the world that shaped him. Critics argue that he misses more than family. He misses purpose, belonging, and the identity that came with his former role. California offered freedom, but freedom can sometimes come with isolation. The further the distance grew, the more questions emerged about where he truly fits. Meanwhile, King Charles finds himself at the center of an increasingly sensitive discussion. Any gesture of welcome risks criticism from those who believe trust was broken beyond repair. Yet closing the door completely carries its own consequences. Every possible decision is examined, questioned, and debated. What makes the situation particularly fascinating is that it does not resemble a carefully planned comeback. Instead, it feels like a response to mounting pressures, limited options, and changing realities. Behind the headlines, the speculation, and the palace intrigue lies a question that refuses to disappear. Is this really a journey back toward family, or is it a search for relevance, security, and a place in a world that has moved on faster than expected? Prince Harry's latest appeals for reconciliation seem focused on healing old royal wounds, but could a far more consequential battle be unfolding behind the scenes in California? Why is growing attention shifting away from family tensions and toward Meghan's expanding business ambitions, and what hidden pressures may be shaping the Sussexes' future? Let's unravel the details. Meghan's business crisis sparks concern. Harry's latest calls for reconciliation may sound like a search for healing, but far from the royal spotlight, a very different crisis appears to be unfolding. While attention remains fixed on whether bridges can ever be rebuilt with the royal family, The situation in California is increasingly drawing scrutiny for reasons that have little to do with old family disputes and everything to do with the future of Meghan's growing commercial ambitions. For years, Harry maintained that any meaningful return to royal circles would require public acknowledgement of what he described as painful treatment during his childhood, along with an apology to Meghan for her experiences after entering royal life in 2016. Yet as those demands continue to hang in the air, observers are beginning to wonder whether events thousands of miles away in Montecito are creating a new urgency of their own. At the center of the conversation is As Ever, the lifestyle brand that was expected to establish Meghan as a major force in the business world. Instead of becoming a runaway success, critics argue that the venture is facing mounting questions about sales, strategy, and public appeal. Reports and online commentary have fueled speculation that significant amounts of inventory remain unsold, tying up millions of dollars in products that were meant to fly off shelves. What makes the situation even more challenging, according to commentators, is the nature of the products themselves. Items such as jams, honey, and specialty spreads do not sit indefinitely in storage. Unlike fashion or decorative goods, many of these products come with a ticking clock. Every passing month increases pressure to move stock before freshness becomes a concern, turning what might have been a simple marketing problem into something far more urgent. The criticism has not stopped with sales figures. Promotional campaigns have become a frequent target of online discussion, with many questioning the imagery chosen to represent the brand. Glossy photographs featuring Meghan in designer clothing, strolling through immaculate gardens, or carrying baskets of produce have generated more amusement than excitement among some viewers. Critics point to spotless vegetables, perfectly staged scenes, and seasonal inconsistencies that they believe make the images feel detached from reality. Even more damaging, according to some marketing observers, is the perception that the advertisements often highlight Meghan herself more than the products she is trying to sell. Social media users have repeatedly noted that beautifully composed photographs can leave viewers remembering the pose, the outfit, or the setting while forgetting the actual items being promoted. As debate over Harry's relationship with the monarchy continues, the pressure surrounding As Ever appears to be growing. Whether the brand can recover through stronger marketing and renewed public interest remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that behind every headline about royal reconciliation lies another story, one involving business, reputation, and a race against time. Beyond a heartfelt Father's Day tribute, was this photograph truly about family, or another attempt to shape public perception? Why did it spark skepticism instead of admiration? And how did it fuel ongoing debate about Meghan's image? Now let's take a closer look at the photograph that ignited the controversy. The photo that backfired spectacularly. Nothing exposed the problem more clearly than a single, carefully staged photograph. Presented as a heartfelt Father's Day tribute, the image showed a burnt croissant, a tiny spread of jam, and little else. Instead of appearing warm or relatable, it left many people wondering who exactly it was meant to impress. For most viewers, it felt less like a genuine family moment and more like another scene crafted for public consumption. That reaction has followed nearly every recent attempt to revive Meghan's public image. Whether promoting her lifestyle brand or sharing personal snapshots, critics argue that the focus never seems to stay on the product, the message, or even the occasion itself. Somehow, attention always circles back to Meghan. A basket of fruit becomes a photo opportunity. A cup of tea becomes a fashion pose. A brand built around entertaining guests somehow manages to showcase almost no guests at all. The contradiction has become difficult for many observers to ignore. Hosting is supposed to be about people, conversation, laughter, and connection. Yet the carefully arranged images often appear strangely empty, with polished backgrounds replacing authentic interaction. To critics, the result feels less like a business campaign and more like a personal showcase. That perception has fueled growing skepticism at a time when expectations are already high. Financial questions continue to surround several of the Sussexes' ventures, and every new project arrives carrying the weight of proving that public interest remains strong. For some commentators, the challenge is no longer about launching products. It is about rebuilding credibility. Perhaps nowhere is that debate more intense than when it comes to Prince Harry and Meghan's children. Since the birth of Archie in 2019 and Lilibet in 2021, their faces have largely remained hidden from public view. Supporters describe the decision as responsible parenting and a commitment to privacy. Others see something more strategic. They argue that keeping the children largely unseen has created an atmosphere of mystery that naturally fuels curiosity. In modern celebrity culture, curiosity has value. The longer something remains out of sight, the more attention it can generate when finally revealed. That speculation has become part of the broader conversation surrounding the Sussex brand. Even affectionate tributes to Prince Harry have not escaped scrutiny. Posts praising him as a devoted father are often met with divided reactions, with supporters seeing sincere family appreciation, while critics view them as carefully timed public relations exercises. The deeper issue, according to many observers, is not a single photograph, product launch, or social media post. It is the growing impression that every moment is filtered through the same lens. When audiences feel they are constantly being asked to admire the person behind the camera rather than what is being presented, even the most carefully crafted image can end up revealing far more than intended. A single photograph of King Charles beside his distant grandchildren could change everything overnight. But why are so many royal watchers skeptical of this apparent reconciliation? Is it truly about healing a fractured family? Or does a far more strategic calculation lie beneath the carefully crafted public narrative? Let's uncover the astonishing details. Charles' most valuable family photograph. Imagine the scene everyone is waiting to see. A carefully staged photograph. King Charles seated beside the grandchildren he has not seen in years. Their familiar red hair instantly recognizable. One image, one frozen moment, and suddenly every headline, every television studio, and every social media platform erupt. For some, it would be proof that a fractured family has finally found a path back together. For others, it would be something far more valuable, a picture worth millions in attention, influence, and future opportunities. That possibility is exactly why so many royal watchers remain deeply skeptical about the latest talk of reconciliation. Behind the public discussion lies a far more complicated calculation. The palace understands that any meeting carries enormous risks. Refuse a family reunion, and critics may portray Charles as the grandfather who turned away his own grandchildren. Agree to it, however, and the resulting photographs could instantly restore royal relevance to figures who have spent years building their lives and public image outside the monarchy. The timing has only fueled suspicion. Reports suggest that plans involving the children emerged unexpectedly, added so late that even seasoned observers were caught off guard. Until then, there had reportedly been no official indication that a meeting between father and son was on the king's schedule. Yet the arrival of the children changed the conversation entirely. Suddenly, what appeared impossible became politically and emotionally difficult to reject. Within royal circles, the concern is not simply about a family gathering. It is about control. Every handshake, every smile. That fear has generated extraordinary speculation about what might happen behind closed doors. Stories have circulated suggesting that phones could be surrendered before any meeting begins, reflecting a level of caution that would have been unthinkable years ago. Whether true or not, such reports reveal just how fragile trust has become. The situation grew even more complicated after Harry's unsuccessful legal battle over security arrangements in Britain. Many observers believe the ruling left him with fewer options than before, increasing pressure to repair damaged relationships. What may once have been a matter of personal choice suddenly appeared more urgent. As a result, King Charles finds himself in a position few would envy. Every available path seems to carry consequences. One decision risks accusations of coldness. The other risks creating an image that could echo around the world for years. Somewhere between family loyalty, public duty, and media spectacle sits a single photograph that may never be taken. Yet the mere possibility of that image has already become one of the most powerful stories surrounding the royal family today. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's expected return to Britain should have been a routine royal moment, yet reports suggest growing unease behind palace walls. Why are insiders allegedly worried about even the most private conversations? And what has fueled fears that confidential discussions could one day become headlines seen around the world? Let's find out. Royal fears ahead of return. Behind the polished headlines and carefully worded briefings, a very different story is said to be unfolding. As preparations continue for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's expected return to Britain, ahead of the countdown events connected to the Invictus Games, the atmosphere surrounding the visit appears far more complicated than any public statement suggests. According to reports and royal insiders, concern inside royal circles has reached such a level that some are said to joke about sweeping meeting rooms for hidden recording devices before conversations even begin. The humor, however, reportedly masks a deeper anxiety: the fear that private discussions could someday reappear in a documentary, interview, or media project viewed by millions. What makes the situation especially significant is the growing belief that this trip could mark a turning point for the Sussexes. According to reports, it is being viewed as a rare opportunity, perhaps the most important one yet, to repair strained relationships between Prince Harry, King Charles, and Prince William. While hopes of reconciliation continue to surface, uncertainty still surrounds nearly every aspect of the visit. Recent reports claim Meghan has sought advice from image consultants and crisis management specialists ahead of any return to Britain. Their reported message has been simple: avoid unnecessary publicity, stay out of the spotlight, and allow attention to shift elsewhere. Whether that strategy will be followed remains a matter of speculation. Skeptics note that this is not the first effort to improve public perception. Over the years, the couple have reportedly worked with numerous advisors and public relations experts. Some commentators argue that the challenge extends beyond communication strategies, suggesting that rebuilding trust is far more difficult than reshaping a public narrative. At the same time, Harry's concerns about security in the United Kingdom continue to cast a shadow over future plans. Reports indicate that questions surrounding protection arrangements remain unresolved, an issue that has influenced discussions about visits for years. Until greater clarity emerges, many believe long-term plans will remain uncertain. Perhaps the most striking aspect of the situation is how little has been officially confirmed. Rumors continue to circulate from multiple sources. Palace silence has become a story in itself, creating space for endless speculation about what may happen behind the scenes. For now, Britain watches closely while the royal family maintains its guarded stance. Every new report adds another layer of intrigue to a visit that carries far greater significance than a routine family gathering. Whether it becomes a genuine step toward reconciliation or simply another chapter in an ongoing royal divide may ultimately depend on conversations that take place away from public view. Prince Harry's return to Britain has sparked endless speculation. But what if the greatest threat to his plans has nothing to do with family disputes or public perception? Why are royal insiders reportedly focused on a looming court judgment instead? And could a legal decision arriving before his expected July visit change everything before he even sets foot in the country? Let's uncover the intriguing details. Court verdict threatens Harry's return. For all the speculation surrounding Prince Harry's possible return to Britain, the most significant obstacle may not be family tensions, old grievances, or even public opinion. Instead, it is a legal judgment quietly approaching in the background, carrying the potential to overshadow everything else before his plane even touches down. While discussions continue about royal accommodations, family meetings, and the possibility of renewed contact with King Charles, attention within royal circles is reportedly focused on a different issue. A court ruling connected to Prince Harry's case against the publisher of the Daily Mail is expected before his anticipated visit to Britain in mid-July. The timing has sparked interest because the verdict could significantly influence the public narrative surrounding any return. During the proceedings, questions were raised about Harry's testimony regarding his relationship with a prominent journalist. Statements made under oath were challenged by evidence presented in court, creating a controversy that has remained part of the wider discussion. Some commentators believe that if the final judgment is particularly critical, it could place both Harry and the monarchy in an uncomfortable position at a sensitive moment. The concern extends beyond legal implications. It is also about public perception. If a damaging judgment were released, and photographs soon appeared of Harry being welcomed into a royal residence, it would likely generate fresh debate about the palace's decision-making. What might otherwise be viewed as a private family matter could quickly become a significant public relations challenge. Adding to the complexity is the continuing legacy of the Sussexes' departure from royal life. Meghan's claims in past interviews, Harry's memoir Spare, and allegations directed at senior members of the royal family continue to shape public discussion. For many observers, those controversies have never been fully resolved and still influence how new developments are viewed. At the same time, Prince William remains at the center of a separate debate. While carrying out royal duties, supporting Catherine during her cancer treatment, and raising their 3 children, he has also faced criticism regarding his workload. Supporters argue that much of his work takes place away from public view, and that some statistics used to criticize him have been disputed, making the issue more complicated than headlines often suggest. As a result, the weeks ahead may prove more significant than many expect. The story is no longer only about whether Harry returns to Britain, but about the circumstances awaiting him if he does. A single court judgment delivered at a crucial moment could reshape public perception, revive old controversies, and place the royal family under renewed scrutiny. Until that decision arrives, every plan, meeting, and headline remains overshadowed by uncertainty. Prince Harry's rift with the royal family has dominated headlines for years, but an even more baffling mystery continues to raise questions. Why has Thomas Markle remained completely shut out of Meghan's life despite time, illness, and repeated public appeals? What really happened behind the scenes, and why does this family divide refuse to heal? Let's find out. The mystery behind Thomas Markle. What continues to puzzle many observers is not the strained relationship between Prince Harry and the royal family, but a far more personal story that seems impossible to explain away. At the center of it stands a man with no royal title, no palace connections, and no influence over public opinion: Thomas Markle, Meghan's father. While headlines often focus on royal disputes, interviews, documentaries, and family tensions on both sides of the Atlantic, critics continue to highlight one striking reality. Thomas Markle has never met Prince Harry in person and has never been introduced to either of his grandchildren. Despite years passing, serious health challenges, and even the loss of a leg, he remains completely estranged from his daughter's family. For many observers, that raises difficult questions. The rift is widely linked to the staged photo controversy before the royal wedding, an incident that reportedly caused lasting damage to the relationship. Since then, time has only deepened the divide rather than repaired it. Even as Thomas sought medical treatment in the United States after leaving the Philippines, there were no public signs of reconciliation. The issue has drawn additional attention because of Prince Harry's prominent role with the Invictus Games, an event that celebrates wounded servicemen and women who have overcome life-changing injuries. Critics argue that there is a noticeable contrast between that message and the continued silence surrounding his father-in-law's condition. Online discussions, particularly among some veterans and royal commentators, have reflected growing frustration, with claims that attention is increasingly focused on Harry and Meghan rather than the competitors themselves. Those concerns resurfaced during the recent games in Vancouver, where some observers felt public interest often centered more on the Duke and Duchess than on the athletes whose achievements the event was created to honor. At the same time, comparisons with Wallis Simpson and King Edward VIII continue to emerge. Commentators note that although Edward's abdication shocked Britain in the 1930s, the couple never fully regained a place within the royal establishment. Critics point out that their controversy unfolded long before televised interviews, streaming documentaries, or best-selling memoirs detailing private family conflicts. This historical comparison continues to fuel debate. If earlier generations maintained firm boundaries for decades, some wonder why discussions of renewed acceptance remain active today. Whether fair or not, the question persists. and each new controversy seems to keep public curiosity alive. The question resurfaces whenever royal tensions make headlines. If King Charles helped transform Camilla's public image, why couldn't he do the same for Harry and Meghan? Was it a failure of strategy, a clash of circumstances, or something far deeper? What made one journey toward acceptance possible while the other seemed destined for a very different outcome? Let's uncover the details. Why Harry isn't Camilla? The comparison appears almost every time the debate erupts. If King Charles once managed to guide Camilla from one of the most controversial figures in Britain to a crowned queen, why could he not achieve the same transformation for Prince Harry and Meghan? On the surface, it sounds reasonable, but many royal observers argue that the situations could not be more different. Camilla's path to acceptance was built slowly, carefully, and largely away from public confrontation. Years of patience, strategic decisions, and quiet perseverance gradually softened public attitudes. Harry and Meghan, however, stand in a completely different position. Their interviews, public accusations, best-selling memoirs, and high-profile media projects have created wounds that many believe remain far from healed. Unlike controversies that faded with time, their criticisms of the royal family continue to circulate across television screens and streaming platforms around the world. What has intensified the debate is not simply the couple themselves, but the growing scrutiny directed toward the king. Across public discussions, attention has shifted from Harry and Meghan to Charles's response. Critics question whether repeated attempts at reconciliation demonstrate compassion or reveal a dangerous weakness at the heart of the monarchy. To them, each perceived effort to reopen the palace doors risks sending a troubling message about accountability and loyalty. The issue becomes even more sensitive because it reaches beyond family emotions. Few doubt that Charles feels a deep bond with his son. Yet many commentators argue that personal affection and royal responsibility are not always compatible. The concern, they say, is that any significant rehabilitation of the Sussexes could trigger political and constitutional consequences far beyond a family dispute. Adding to the tension are reports that influential figures within the royal household, including the Prince and Princess of Wales, hold strong views about the future direction of the monarchy. Their position has fueled speculation that a divide exists between preserving family relationships and protecting the institution itself. As public frustration grows, so do the demands. Some voices have begun arguing that if the king cannot place the interests of the crown above personal considerations, then leadership should eventually pass to Prince William. Whether such calls are realistic or merely emotional reactions remains uncertain. No official agreement has been announced, no palace confirmation has emerged, and important legal and public developments still hang in the balance. For now, the monarchy finds itself facing a difficult question. Can an institution built on stability survive if the people perceived to have challenged it are welcomed back into its inner circle? The answer may shape not only the future of Harry and Meghan, but the future of King Charles's reign itself. So, what do you think Tom Bower uncovered that could push Charles toward abdication? And what role do Harry and Meghan play? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.